Nuclear power began in Berlin, Germany in 1938. Two German scientists, Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann, conducted an experiment that changed the course of world history forever. They discovered that uranium atoms could be split. And in the process, a tremendous amount of energy was released. This is called nuclear fission. When this news reached other scientists, they were terrified. Especially those scientists who, like Albert Einstein, had fled Hitler's Germany to the United States. They feared that if Nazi Germany used this knowledge to build a bomb, the whole world would be in danger. Inspired by this fear, Einstein wrote a letter to U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and warned of the danger. And as a result of this letter, the United States launched the Manhattan Project. It was the largest, most expensive and most secret scientific project in history. A project from which man gained the power that was enough for his own destruction. The best minds were gathered from the United States, Great Britain and Canada. Billions of dollars were spent on this project to create an atomic bomb before Germany. And then in July 1945 in the desert of New Mexico, the first atomic test was carried out, called the Trinity Test. And then just a month later, in August 1945, the United States dropped two bombs called Little Boy and Fat Man on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and used this new and destructive power that shook all of humanity. Millions of people were wiped out. And when the United States threatened Japan that the next bomb would be dropped on Tokyo, then Japan surrendered. And World War II ended. And with it began a new and more dangerous war called the Cold War. The second player after the United States, the Soviet Union, entered the field. The United States thought that it was the only powerful country in the world and that it would keep the secret of nuclear power safe for many years. But the United States was completely wrong. Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's spies were also inside the Manhattan Project. And they knew everything. As soon as the United States completed its experiment, the Soviet Union accelerated its program. The Soviet Union not only used the information obtained through espionage, but it also used German scientists captured during the war, and just 4 years later, in 1949, the Soviet Union conducted its first nuclear test in the desert of Kazakhstan. And it surprised the whole world, including the United States. Now other players began to prepare to join the race: Britain, France, and China. Britain, which was an ally of the United States, betrayed it at the right time and refused to give it this technology. Britain made its own bomb in 1952. France decided to become a nuclear power for its independent foreign policy and national prestige and conducted its first nuclear test in 1960. And the third most powerful country in the world, China, which considered the United States as its enemy and was also at odds with the Soviet Union. With amazing speed, it conducted its nuclear test in 1964. The world was watching this whole spectacle. These were the first 5 players, the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, who were called the P5. This council came together in 1968 and made an agreement that, now we have the bomb, so no other country will make nuclear weapons. This agreement is called the NPT. But was the world going to listen to them? Especially the countries that felt insecure? One of them was Israel and the other was India. The NPT agreement existed and the world was signing it, but why weren't the two countries here? Because they had their own secret nuclear programs. The first country was Israel, the only country that has neither confirmed nor denied having an atomic bomb to this day. It was called the policy of deliberate ambiguity, but the whole world knows that Israel has hundreds of nuclear weapons. But how did Israel build them? France helped it do this. In the 1950s, France helped Israel build a reactor in the name of generating electricity, which was built in Dimona in the Negev desert of Israel. U.S. President John F. Kennedy was furious at Israel's move. He put pressure on Israel, but by then it was too late. And even arranged a fake inspection or two, and when Kennedy was assassinated, all subsequent U.S. presidents were very lenient with Israel. So much so that it is estimated that Israel had acquired the ability to build an atomic bomb by 1967. This secret was revealed in 1986, when a technician working in Dimona leaked everything to a British newspaper. And for that he was later sentenced to 18 years in prison. While Israel was building nuclear weapons, thousands of kilometers away, India was also trying the same thing. India also started its nuclear program in the 40s. The main goal was to compete with China and also to establish dominance over Pakistan. They had the same slogan: "We want to use nuclear energy only for peaceful purposes." And for this, Canada gave them a nuclear reactor and the United States provided heavy water. But India deceived the world, and secretly started extracting plutonium for weapons from the spent fuel of this same reactor. And then on May 18, 1974, India conducted its first nuclear test in the Thar Desert, and to mislead the world, it was given the code name, Smiling Buddha, as if they are saying that this is a peaceful nuclear explosion. The intensity of this explosion was felt most intensely in Islamabad. Pakistan, which had lost half of its country in the 1971 war, now faced a new threat. Now Pakistan had to take some important and difficult decisions. May 18, 1974. Pakistan can never forget this date. India's nuclear test was not only news for Pakistan, but it was an earthquake, a declaration of national emergency. The wound inflicted by India in 1971 was still fresh when East Pakistan became Bangladesh because of India. And now the rest of Pakistan was also facing an existential crisis. The Pakistani leadership felt that now India would blackmail them with its power. They would take complete control of Kashmir or try to break the rest of Pakistan. This fear was completely real. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the Prime Minister of Pakistan at that time. A highly intelligent leader with a charismatic personality. He had already realized this danger, which is why in 1972 he called a secret meeting of scientists in Multan, where he said, "I want a bomb." Then he said the words that gave the name to the mission. "We will eat grass, we will starve, but we will definitely make our own atomic bomb." Which was named The Story of Eating Grass. India also started its nuclear program in the 40s. The main goal was to compete with China and also to establish dominance over Pakistan. They had the same slogan: "We want to use nuclear energy only for peaceful purposes." And for this, Canada gave them a nuclear reactor and the United States provided heavy water. But India deceived the world, and secretly started extracting plutonium for weapons from the spent fuel of this same reactor. And then on May 18, 1974, India conducted its first nuclear test in the Thar Desert, and to mislead the world, it was given the code name, Smiling Buddha. As if they are saying that this is a peaceful nuclear explosion. The intensity of this explosion was felt most intensely in Islamabad. Pakistan, which had lost half of its country in the 1971 war, now faced a new threat. Now Pakistan had to take some important and difficult decisions. May 18, 1974. Pakistan can never forget this date. India's nuclear test was not only news for Pakistan, but it was an earthquake, a declaration of national emergency. The wound inflicted by India in 1971 was still fresh when East Pakistan became Bangladesh because of India. And now the rest of Pakistan was also facing an existential crisis. The Pakistani leadership felt that now India would blackmail them with its power. They would take complete control of Kashmir or try to break the rest of Pakistan. This fear was completely real. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the Prime Minister of Pakistan at that time. A highly intelligent leader with a charismatic personality. He had already realized this danger, which is why in 1972 he called a secret meeting of scientists in Multan, where he said, "I want a bomb." Then he said the words that gave the name to the mission. "We will eat grass, we will starve, but we will definitely make our own atomic bomb." Which was named The Story of Eating Grass. Pakistan had two paths to achieve this goal. First, the plutonium path. A deal was even made with France to buy a reprocessing plant. It was a huge success, but the US intervened. US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger directly threatened Bhutto. "If you take this plant, we will make a terrible example of you." Under intense US pressure, France withdrew from the deal. And Pakistan's first path was almost closed. Now, the second path remained: enriched uranium. This path was more difficult, its technology was more complex. But there was one man who could do it. A man whose name will always be remembered in history. Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan. At that time, Dr. Khan was working in a secret plant of a Dutch company. After India's nuclear test, Dr. Abdul Qadir wrote a letter to Bhutto and said, "I have the knowledge that can get Pakistan out of this difficulty." Pakistani Prime Minister Bhutto immediately called him to Pakistan and met him. He was very impressed by Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan's passion and knowledge, and the Pakistani Prime Minister felt that Abdul Qadir was the person who could do this impossible task. Abdul Qadir Khan was given full authority by the Prime Minister, and a secret work started in the hills of Kahuta near Islamabad under the name of KRL, Kahuta Research Laboratories. Time was short, the eyes of the whole world were on Pakistan. But the question arises that how did Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan make this impossible task possible? The centrifuge, which is a very complex machine, its parts, its material, its machinery. Where did all this come from? A very complex game was played behind it. There were three main factors. First, Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan's secret network. Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan created an entire network using his old contacts in Europe. Front companies were established in many countries including Germany, Switzerland, Holland, and Britain. And with the help of European traders, centrifuge parts and materials were purchased. This equipment was first brought to Dubai and then smuggled to Pakistan from there. In other words, it was a very dangerous but successful operation. Second, China's help. Why was China helping? Because India was also a rival of China. China wanted another nuclear power in India's neighborhood to maintain the balance of power. China not only provided Pakistan with training and sensitive materials, but it is also said that it provided the tested design of the atomic bomb. And the third and most surprising element, the silence of the United States. The United States turned a blind eye to all this. The only reason for which was the Afghan War. When the Soviet Union entered Afghanistan in 1979, the United States desperately needed to defeat Pakistan. Pakistan was a frontline state. Training of the Afghan Mujahideen, money, weapons. Everything was going through Pakistan. So it was an unwritten agreement that, you help us in the Afghan war, we will ignore your nuclear program. But as soon as the Afghan war ended in 1989 and the Soviet Union left, the US immediately opened its eyes and imposed strict sanctions on Pakistan. Anyway, despite all these difficulties, Pakistan had acquired nuclear capability by the end of the 80s. But it kept this fact hidden from the world. It had become a silent nuclear power. Then came May 1998. The BJP government in India, as soon as it came to power, conducted 5 nuclear tests in Pokhran and started openly threatening Pakistan. Now Pakistan was under intense pressure. The army said that it was necessary to respond for national security, and on the other hand, the US and the world were trying to prevent Pakistan from responding to India by luring it with billions of dollars in aid and threatening sanctions. By then, Nawaz Sharif had succeeded Zulfikar Bhutto as Prime Minister of Pakistan. And now it had become very difficult for Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to take this decision. Due to India's threats, the Prime Minister of Pakistan finally decided that national honor and security came first. And then on May 28, 1998, Pakistan conducted 5 successful nuclear tests in the Shagai Mountains. And on the other hand, 2 days later, another test came. India conducted 6 nuclear tests in response to Pakistan's 5 nuclear tests. But Pakistan did not attach any special importance to India's 6th nuclear test. That day, there was a celebration all over Pakistan. People were dancing in the streets. The fear that arose in 1974 was now over. But some time later, 9/11 happened, and after that the whole world changed forever. A long war with the US rebels began, and the world's biggest fear was that nuclear weapons or nuclear material could fall into the hands of the rebels. In this new environment, nuclear proliferation became the world's biggest security threat. Investigations into Iran, Libya, North Korea began. The same advantage was found everywhere: Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan's secret procurement network and intense pressure on Pakistan. President Pervez Musharraf's government had only two options: save the state or save its hero, and Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan was a hero. This was a very difficult decision. And then on February 4, 2004, Pakistan's greatest hero appeared on state television and tearfully confessed his guilt. He said that I gave technology to Libya, Iran, and North Korea. It was my mistake. I did all this in my personal capacity. The state of Pakistan is not involved in this. I apologize to the nation. The Pakistani nation was in shock. And then Dr. Abdul Qadir was placed under house arrest for the rest of his life. The hero who brought freedom to Pakistan in difficult times. He himself became a prisoner. But was Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan really involved in giving nuclear materials to other countries? This secret remained a secret forever.
If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. And if you want to give us any ideas, please let us know in the comments below.